Ladies and gentlemen, we interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you this special bulletin. Assassin's Creed Shadows, Ubisoft's latest entry into the Assassin's Creed franchise, just seems to be wallowing in one controversy, one discussion, one thing after another after another. Accusations of stealing assets, copying this banner. Is Yasuke a samurai? Was Yasuke really a samurai? Arguments over this, that, and the other. Why didn't they use a Japanese protagonist instead of a black man? All kinds of, and of course, the name calling, the insult slinging that goes along with any sort of criticism of a game like this makes you wonder, is this some sort of diversity shield? You be the judge for yourself. But in the latest edition of How Could It Possibly Be Getting Any Worse, we have some interesting contradictions. Like, they're not, maybe the people talking, doing these interviews for Assassin's Creed Shadows, they're not talking with one another. Ubisoft sends out a statement, but then the lead producer says something a bit contradictory in this article from Bounding Into Comics. Spencer Bakula, probably spelled that wrong, said it wrong. Hi, folks. Assassin's Creed Shadows lead producer claims, quote, "We are trying to create a game that is as authentic as possible. But I thought you were trying to create a game. I thought it was a work of fiction, a dramatization, so to speak. Can y'all make up your mind? Let's see what we have to say. Press X to doubt. Press X to doubt indeed. In the wake of numerous, and I'm sure they're not over, folks, controversies related to the game's historical accuracy or lack thereof, Assassin's Creed Shadows lead producer Carl Onye has claimed that one of the game's main priorities is to make sure it shows proper respect to Japanese culture. Oh, I think you're a bit late for that. At least if all the reports are true. Take everything with a grain of salt. Question everything. I think I stole that. Anye put forth this assertion while speaking to GameIndustry.biz's Christopher Dring regarding the development process behind Ubisoft's next Assassin's Creed entry, speaking to the game's supposed dedication to properly representing its historical setting. Oh, you mean like mixing in hip-hop music while the black man's on the screen? Smashing NPCs over the head with a bat? Anyway, the producer asserted, quote, "We are trying to create a game that is as authentic as possible. It's something we take pride in." Well, then maybe you should have thought about the protagonist before making the game. Making it, again, just have him as a male Japanese character that's supposed to take place in feudal Japan. You wouldn't have run afoul of any of this nonsense whatsoever. The quote continues, "And that is also a very long process that we completely ignored. When we build a Japanese house from feudal Japan, it is very different from, say, a French medieval house or an English one." You don't say. So you have to learn as artists where things go inside feudal Japanese houses. Okay. Well, you went and look at the history books, but you kind of maybe went with the wrong person for Yasuke's history books? Or so I've heard. Maybe the food doesn't go there. Oh, you got that particular with it? Specific things from feudal Japan, trying to get the food placement right, the structure right, but other things we're going to go fictional with this one. We're going to make it up as we go along. Huh. Moving on. You have to get everything you need to know and learn it, and that process is long. Really. To this end, Onye turned to his team's research process, therein noting that one of the most important aspects of their work was apparently making physical visits to Japan proper. Well, that's not a bad idea. Or you could have, hired a particular type of consultancy group that would have come in and made sure you did all the right things, checked all the right boxes, made sure you had the right voices for the roles. That's speculation. It's not feudal Japan, obviously. Well, no. But it is oh, he's talking about visiting Japan proper. Now that I think about it, that doesn't really make any sense. Modern day Japan. We're going to go to modern day Japan. Maybe they went to the national monuments, the museums, and whatnot. Let's see. But it is good to go on site because it is only then that we realize it is very different than what we think it is. Again, get some Japanese consultants. Anyway. get the Japanese artists to come in and help you with the designs. You should do a little bit of research, some of the legwork yourself. Sure, that's not what I'm stuttering. It is very interesting because when the team went there, one of the things that jumped out was the forests and how they are, and they're going to be same anyway. The forests there today are going to be the same. Well, I guess they could be reasonably, depending on the density of the forest, and I'm getting off on a tangent. Let's get back to the article. We had made some forests based on the Greece landscape for Odyssey, but when we went, we noticed it was very different to what we'd done, and we had to change it. Why? It's fictional, right? It's make-believe. You don't necessarily find that stuff out when doing historical research. Why not? There's drawings, there's paintings, there's all sorts of depictions. From there, the producer was then pressed by the host as to how the team was approaching the specific development of a title set in a nation not their own. Ubisoft is a French company with their headquarters currently residing in Montreal? I said that wrong. Montreal? Make fun of me in the comments. Paris. To which he affirmed, quote, obviously, when we make a game, we are trying to appeal to a global audience. And depending on the sales of the game, that may be a good thing or a bad thing. Trying to appeal to a global audience while, according to reports, again, insulting your potential Japanese customers. Pretty much how you handled the entire thing. From the sword that looks to be stolen from Roronorazoro from One Piece, from the banner that I can't remember where that was jacked from, and again, setting the game in feudal Japan and not using the male, not having both protagonists as Japanese characters. A lot of people seem to be seeing that as an insult. But hey, trying to appeal to that global audience, or are you trying to appeal to the so-called non-existent modern audience there, Ubisoft? Let's continue. Since we are making a game in Japan, we do hope to appeal to more Japanese players. Oops. So it is very important that we try to be as authentic as possible. You failed miserably. We come from a humble position of arrogance because you're insulting people, and we don't know anything, and we need to learn everything from scratch. Then maybe you should pay attention to the people that you're getting their information from and maybe vet them a little bit. We are making sure we respect things. Oof, you keep using that word. Being respectful, being authentic, respect things. There's a lot of people out there on the massive big old interwebs, apparently a lot of them in Japan, who seem to disagree with that statement. What do y'all think? Let me know. When you come in, you don't want to come in as if you know everything. We want to build something that when they see it and play it, they will recognize their own country. You made the game, okay, you made the game set in feudal Japan. Do you believe that Japan as a country has not progressed past that point? Sure, there are history books, lessons to be learned in school, in universities and whatnot, but am I being nitpicky about this statement? I might be, but it's very odd. You recognize their own country, recognize feudal Japan. Just try to be authentic to the setting, including the characters. Maybe, just maybe focus a little more on the characters as well. As referenced above, Onye's claim of authenticity, that I don't think he knows what that word means, regarding Assassin's Creed Shadows is a questionable assertion at best and an outright lie at worst. Well, it definitely contradicts the things that have been said before. As the game has been swamped, that's an understatement, in controversy regarding its approach to feudal Japanese history ever since the first trailer. Such controversies has included such ahistorical developments of the game's featuring of the historical Yasuke as a full-blown samurai rather than a retainer. Again, that is an argument that people will have until this game is forgotten about. And for me, honestly, whatever. Just call it a dramatization. Call it what it is. Instead of trying to say, we're trying to be historically accurate, we're trying to do this, we're trying to pay respect to Japan. Just... something that may have also helped keep Yasuke as the samurai protagonist in the game, but call it a dramatization. All pieces of entertainment have gotten away with this sort of thing. Little, what is it? Artistic artistic leeway. That's not the word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean. Call it a dramatization. You're not necessarily sticking to actual historical facts and events, and just leave it at that. I think it may have landed better, but no, you want to come out over and over and over again, flip-flopping now with this statement, trying to defend your decision, when all you would have to do, it's a dramatization. It's a fictional story based on an actual character that we wanted to. Artistic license, that's what it was. This is what my brain does, ladies and gentlemen. Using artistic license to make the story more interesting. A lot of entertainers, a lot of pieces of entertainment have gotten away with that sort of thing. Let's keep going. Rather than entertainer, it's applying the Chinese architecture in Japanese buildings, the unauthorized depiction of a modern-day historical reenactment group's personal flag, that's what I was trying to remember earlier, as belonging to a historical military unit, goodness gracious me, and allowing the aforementioned Yasuke to engage in those relationships despite no evidence existing to suggest he ever held such romantic inclinations. Now, some people may have an issue with that, some people don't. The problem there is what gamers, as far as the interesting relationship that Yasuke is purported to have, actually both characters apparently are going to be able to have same-sex relationships in the game, as well as heteronormative, whatever you want to call it, heterosexual relationships. I can't believe I said that word. Oh my lord. Again, it's fiction. Unfortunately, gamers are going to see it a particular way because, I've mentioned this on other things, gamers have been conditioned to expect the absolute worst from a video game, from a story, from a movie, from a TV show, when this sort of thing is put into place. When you decide to put sexual, ideological, checkbox nonsense in the game, we, as gamers, a good bit of us, have been conditioned to go, oh, you're doing the checkbox thing. This is going to be crap. Unfortunately, for the vast majority of the time, it has been true. So, hence, they use the term of conditioning. Is it going to happen? Don't know. But there are far more issues people have with this game. The same-sex relationship, it just adds another one to the fire. Further, it should be noted that Onye's claims stand counter. Here's the fun part. Countering Ubisoft's previous admission that, quote, we have put significant effort into ensuring an immersive and respectful representation of feudal Japan. Their intention was never to present any of Assassin's Creed's game, including Shadows, as factual representations of history or historical characters. But you want to be as authentic as possible. Is this how you get away in that middle ground? It is contradiction. Or is it individuals not communicating their statements with each other, one believing something, the other believing not? Is this damage control? I kind of see this more as damage control, the whole factual representation. Instead, we aim to spark curiosity and encourage players to explore and learn and blah, 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 blah. We've seen this statement before. It's a bunch of nonsense. This was definitely nothing more than damage control to try and get people more interested, trying to get the Japanese gamers more interested to say, we're not trying to disrespect you. We're just putting this in as a work of fiction. What's that last statement? I love this. Despite these sustained efforts, we acknowledge that some elements in our promotional materials have caused concern within the Japanese community. Please, for the love of God, buy our game. Please, oh please, we're begging on our hands and knees. For this, we sincerely apologize. And the odd thing is their apology got roasted from the people in favor of Yasuke. I guess what you would consider the other side of the argument, those that are against channels like mine. So it was a lose-lose statement, which made it far more entertaining for me. Given this documented, where'd it go? History of playing fast and loose with their historical inspirations, one wonders just how many players will end up unabashedly and uncritically buying Onye's claim. Well, it depends on if the next statement contradicts Onye's. Let me know if I'm pronouncing his name right. It's, what a wild, wild roller coaster that Ubisoft is sending out there between Assassin's Creed Shadows and Star Wars Outlaws, which I've talked about quite a few times as well. I wonder how many how many content creators Ubisoft is going to fly out to Los Angeles to spend 4 hours with this game. I'll be there to cover that as well. But let me know what you think in the comments. Is this damage control? Are they not talking to each other for these interviews? Is this nothing more than a massive contradiction because they can't make up their mind? Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Leave a like, leave a dislike. Do all those nifty little things those YouTubers beg you to do, and I hope to see you on the next one.